Well, thanks for joining us here on WLTX Plus. I'm Chief Meteorologist Efren Afonte with the update on Tropical Storm Gabrielle. The latest information that we got from the National Hurricane Center, winds sustained at 50 miles an hour, gusting to 65. The wind speeds really haven't changed over the past day and a half. It's still moving to the west-northwest at 12 miles an hour. But the latest satellite imagery over the last 4 hours, and you can see that a lot of the thunderstorm activity is now starting to develop on a good portion of the north, east, and southern flanks of the center of circulation. It's indicating that it's starting to get a little bit more robust, although it's not a circular pattern at this point. Nevertheless, the National Hurricane Center does have it indicated that by Sunday, well, it'll intensify to a Category 1 hurricane with wind speeds of about 75 miles an hour. It then intensifies even more by Monday morning, wind speeds of about 100 miles an hour. And notice, it's getting close to the island of Bermuda. Even by Monday evening, it's still a Category 2 hurricane with winds of 105. Latest projections and models are indicating that from the National Hurricane Center's track, the center line to the eastern side of Bermuda is roughly about over 200 miles away. So they may have wind impact, but all indications that it is going to skirt to the east. Even by Tuesday, it's still a Category 2 hurricane with winds of 105 miles an hour. By Wednesday, a Category 1, but it is moving now more towards the east-northeast into the North Atlantic, and all indications from the National Hurricane Center, it's not going to make landfall anywhere along the U.S. Atlantic seaboard. And all the 5-day tracks, and that's really important, they're all within that 5-day cone of uncertainty by the National Hurricane Center. The one thing that we want to look at is to see if any models are skirting off and more towards us, and that's not the case at all. So this is not going to be an impact to South Carolina, let alone the Atlantic seaboard. The computer models indicate this tropical storm force winds of 40 miles or above. There is a good chance that some of that stronger winds may be east of Bermuda, which is a great sign as we go all the way into Wednesday evening, where it's going to be well off into the North Atlantic. The hurricane wind profiles are indicating that they're not going to be close to Bermuda. That might not be the case, but they'll still have windy conditions for the island. But again, this is not going to be an impact to us, which is a great thing. But all the computer models, with the exception of the first 1 or 2 runs that were pointing more towards the Southeast Atlantic, well, all the models are pretty much in line over the last about 24 to 36 hours that its current forecasts are pretty much on the same line. But keep in mind, this started out in the eastern central Atlantic heading north before it bypassed. And it bypassed again because there's a very large area of high pressure parked just to the east of it. And that is going to help it steer away. Well, other than Gabrielle, we have another area that we're watching. It's a 20% chance of development over the next 7 days. So still a very low end chance. Where it is right now, just south of the Cape Verde Islands, in the shaded area in the eastern and central Atlantic, that's where the potential development is going to be. But again, just like Gabrielle, that's going to be heading far away from us, this is a 20% chance, and it is not a grave concern at this point, really, for anyone in the U.S., and really certainly not for the Caribbean islands at this point. Keep in mind that September 10th is the peak of hurricane season. It's September 19. We're still in the peak end. And the reason why I'm alluding to this is because not only from the obvious that there's still going to be quite a bit of activity, but this month so far we've had Tropical Storm Ferdinand that started in August. Well, it should have started in September, but now with Tropical Storm Gabrielle that started on the 17th, so earlier this week, well, there's not a lot of activity. Well, the key thing to remember is that if you compare this to last year's hurricane season, well, we had a Category 2 Hurricane Francine in the middle of September. Then we had Tropical Storm Gordon. A lot of us, unfortunately, remember Hurricane Helene that got up to a Category 3, and then Category 2 Hurricane Isaac. That was towards the end of September, and then we had Category 1 Hurricane Joyce. So we have 5 tropical systems in the month of September from last year. Is that going to be the case now? No way to tell, but nevertheless, we will still be monitoring Tropical Storm Gabrielle. It is expected to become from a tropical storm to a hurricane as high as a Category 2, but there is nothing that indicates that this will be an impact to the Palmetto State or anywhere along the Atlantic coast. We'll continue to monitor it very carefully and have updates on News 19 as well as here on WLTX Plus. I'm Chief Meteorologist Efren Afante, and stay with News 19. We'll keep you advised.